So it's been a while since my last weapon build video, and in today's video we're going to cover the SMG-45, arguably one of the more popular ones in Delta Force, and for good reason. In today's build I made it so it's kind of like a AR build because it does a lot of damage per shot, and the actual base range on it isn't too terrible, but if you extend that range a little bit it becomes competitive with something like the K416 or some assault rifles that you mod to be better at closer range engagements. So starting off with a clean slate here, we're going to change the barrel out first. So you have 4 options here, but we're going to go with the SMG-45 Fission long barrel, which gives you +2 meters in range and also extra patches. Had I wanted to make this even longer ranges, I might have gone with the ultra longbow barrel, but it only gives you an extra 1 meter in range, a lot of downsides, and you don't get those extra slots here for the patches. So we're going to go ahead and install that. And then I calibrated this with +50 grams and -10 millimeters to get a little bit of extra ADS speed. The muzzle velocity, not too worried about this. I'm not using this at like 200 meters. I'm using it mostly within 90-ish meters, but ideally you're going to want to use this at about like 35, even less meters than that, but it's still very, very good. So for the muzzle here, I went with the SMG Echo Suppressor, so it gives you an extra +4 meters in range, giving you 29 meters in range for a weapon that does 27 damage per shot is very, very good. And if you're playing somewhat aggressive overall, those are like the engagement ranges that you're going to be in anyways, is that like 30-meter mark, so you're still doing really good damage at those engagement ranges. For the foregrip, unfortunately, always pretty much the same one here, the X25U angled combat grip. So much control, so much accuracy at a slight loss in the handling and stability, not too bad. And then I calibrated this with +20 millimeters to get some stability when moving, because I do move a lot when I'm playing medic. For the mag, so the base mag is 25 rounds, and then you have the option to put 40 round mags on here, which is what I went with. 25 round mags feels very little, especially when you're fighting a lot of enemies. And then go with the mag assist here. That gives no downsides. For the rear grip AR, heavy tower grip, because you get all bonuses plus an extra slot here. And then we are going to modify this with +50 grams and +20 millimeters to get extra control and extra stability when moving. For the grip mount, go with the balanced grip base. Again, positives across the board, which is great. For the stock, I went with the Cardinal Advanced Combat stock because you get positives across the board here. And then for the calibration, I simply added 4 slots on the stock itself to get some more firing stability. For the optic here, I chose to go with an RDS, and this one was the OKP7 reflex sight, albeit it doesn't actually fit the theme of this weapon. I do kind of like this optic more and more, and then I just gave it a -20 millimeters in eye relief. As for the patches here, you can actually put 4, including one on the upper rail. So I went with the KC Hound handguard panel across the board here to get a little bit of extra stability, just so when you're getting fired at, you don't have so much aim punch. So put that here. You could obviously replace these by any patch or panel you see fit if you feel like some of the weapon stats in certain areas are lacking. And then finally, for the laser, I just chose to go with, I believe I put the LAC3 green laser light combo on here, so I'll go ahead and install that. So I really thought of this build as to dishing out the maximum amount of damage at the longest range possible, which is why I call it like kind of like the AR build. Earlier I said 27 damage, but you're actually doing 26 damage per shot up to 29 meters, which is really good for an SMG. Control is very easy. Handling, not terrible, a little bit lower than the base version, but you're still ADSing at a decent speed. Stability is where you take the biggest hit here, albeit it is pretty much on par with the base weapon itself, and same thing for accuracy. Overall, using this weapon at those longer ranges feels really good because you're doing that incredibly high damage at a pretty decent fire rate of 605 RPM, which is competitive with some of the ARs that are available to like the support class, which has a very limited AR selection. Now, obviously, overall ARs still do damage at longer ranges, but for the most part, like I have a K416 build that only does 21 damage up to 21 meters, which is pretty bad, and I believe that's even the base range for the K416, and then the rest of them are like 30-ish meters, so you're really doing high damage comparable to the ARs that are available to the medic class at pretty much the exact same range. and even with similar muzzle velocity, making this specific SMG-45 build a great pick regardless of whether you're pushing aggressively or you're playing a little bit more medium range. Obviously, you don't really want to use this weapon at like 100 meters out, but you still can, and I actually do, and manage to get kills, albeit it takes a lot more rounds because the SMG damage model does do less damage per shot to the head. I believe the actual modifier for SMGs is like 1.2 or something. It is very low compared to ARs, but 26 damage to the body is just huge at 29 meters. So yeah, definitely a very fun weapon build here. I hadn't used the SMG-45 much up until now, but I have started using it more, and I must say it is very, very fun to use because of those limited options you get as the support class. Of course, the SMG-45 is also available to the recon class, but you do have extra choices for the recon with like the marksman rifles and even the ARs. You have a few extra options there with the Scar H and the AUG that aren't available to the support class, which is why I wanted to have like a fifth option that kind of performs similarly to ARs. Now, the weapon itself you get at level 5, which is quite early, and then in order to be able to use this specific build, you will need to level up the weapon all the way up to the level 59 to get those laser light combos, but you can simply forego that and just use something else until you get to that specific level. As per usual, the weapon share code will be in the description down below as well as in the top pinned comment, and I also made a complete spreadsheet of all the weapon builds I've made over the course of Delta Force releasing, so I'll leave that as well. If you want to go and check out past builds and stuff like that, everything's logged in there. And I will now leave you with a few highlight clips of me using the specific build. In any case, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.